Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV. It is the deep dive. I'm Chris Pajak, the legend over there. To my right hand side is Josh Williams at Distance Covered, superb Substack, which I'm sure he'll mention. What are we over under 4 mentions today? Shall we give it?
Listen, this is the free promotion, mate.
I know.
Need to get it out there. Shout about it.
Absolutely, and why not? It's really good, so you should check it out.
It is really good, yeah.
Substack, yeah. Well, it's fine for me to say it. Completely different for you to say it, but you're right. Regardless. So we're here to talk about the Tinkerman Arne Slot and what he decided to do against Bournemouth. Obviously, I suppose getting into it, we're a few days removed from it right now, Josh. It was a very good, intense game of football, I thought, and one which I was made up that Liverpool came out on top for obvious reasons, but you know, Bournemouth were in such good form heading into this. It was a potential banana skin, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was a tough game. Like I felt a bit amazed, to be honest, after the game when we came out of it and we just won 2-0, relatively straightforward, clean sheet, score first. The crowd never really gets up. You know, I just didn't think it'd be that comfortable when it comes to the scoreline, but the actual performance, that make-up of the game, end to end, it wasn't it? And I think both teams have, I think Bournemouth have 14, Liverpool have 18 shots or something like that. I think the expected goals was relatively similar. 49% possession, 51% possession. So it was just a proper, even, really intense game, and I think we all knew it was going to be hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Kluivert miss was probably the big turning point in the game, wasn't it? I think, obviously, when you think of the XG, I think the XG battle was close. Liverpool still probably won it, even without the penalty, but the penalty does change the XG battle slightly, doesn't it? Because it basically adds 0.79. Yeah,
I think when I checked on Opta, it was 1.6 to Bournemouth, 1.7 to Liverpool. But then Liverpool get a penalty, so it takes Liverpool quite far and away, and it's probably in reality potentially a 2-1 win for Liverpool, maybe a 2-2 draw or something like that. It's the kind of thing that could have went either way, but because Mo Salah just delivered on the day and Bournemouth hit the woodwork twice, just one of them days maybe where and Alisson as well, by the way, one of them days where your individual quality just pays off in comparison to who you're facing.
Before we get into the sorts of changes that Slot brought in for this game, let's just touch on Alisson Becker, because I think it was a big talking point, or has been a sort of, maybe not a big talking point, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but it's kind of been rumbling under a little bit for people on Alisson since he's come back from injury. But this was his, I think, best performance since coming back between the sticks.
Well, there was a few of them. I think Robbo actually stepped up as well, you know, and he's been offered for me this season. He's been, you know, kind of post-peak, showing signs of post-peak and that, but both of them delivered. And did we do a show on Alisson? I'm not sure if we've done a show on it, but we've been asked, I think.
Yeah, we did a bit on Alisson Kelleher and stuff like that in terms of stats in a Q&A, but I don't think it was for very long.
Well, there was a point where he'd basically faced a certain number of shots on target and he'd conceded, I think he'd faced something like 31 shots on target and he conceded 10, which was not great. That was since his return, I think, against Girona. From then onwards, save percentage of about 65% or so, which is not Alisson's level, not generally acceptable, really. So for him to deliver in this game with a few nice reactions and stuff like that, making a difference and things, this is why you keep playing him. This is why he stays in the team. And I think if he's gonna, I mean, I'm looking at far ahead here, like, but if we can get that now for the rest of the season, if he can be that sharp for the running and that, and you know, semi-finals, quarter-finals and things like that, you know, Liverpool are going to benefit from it. So hopefully he's had that period where he gets rid of the rust, and hopefully now we're getting the best version of him.
Absolutely. Okay, well, let's talk about it then. Before we do, though, Kieran Smith sends us a chat. This is his fave show on Redmen TV. Thank you very much, Kieran. Much appreciated. The flagship show on the Redmen TV nowadays, of course. Said by me last week.
I can never tell if he's being sarcastic with
No,
this.
I'm not being sarcastic. I truly believe that it's the best show that we do.
Love that.
Okay, Semenyo and Kerkez, Bournemouth danger man. We had to come up with a plan.
They are good, aren't they? Seriously good individuals. I think Semenyo on his own would be tricky for any defender. Because of the nature of Kerkez, just overlapping every 2 seconds, underlapping. You know, he scored recently against Newcastle United away from home. Got dribbling qualities, you know, runs in behind. That's a problem that many teams face when you come up against Bournemouth. If we imagine this is Bournemouth's team, it's like an overload here, where they just play with you and then sometimes Clive goes over, sometimes Adams drifts over, but this kind of two-man, because the thing is, both players are capable of being the forward, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So if Kirkes ends up running beyond, you wouldn't really know who was the forward and who weren't almost. So Liverpool premeditated it. I felt, Liverpool seemed to go in with a tactical plan for it, and it involved Ryan Gravenberch, didn't it?
Absolutely. So let's put Semenyo and Kirkes on the field here, and obviously this has been Ryan Gravenberch sort of normally, McAllister over here. How did you feel it changed?
Well, I think what we've seen for most of the season is that really, but I think the player helping out for the most part I've felt is Szoboszlai.
Yeah.
I think he still did, but obviously with him naturally being relatively high up the pitch between the lines of the Bournemouth midfield and defence, considering they're all inclined to press, so you can get that space here. Maybe Slot didn't want to do that particularly. McAllister's over on this side, as we know, but what we found quite often was McAllister would do that and Gravenberch would basically do that, and you would almost take up the positions defensively of like a David Beckham in a 4-4-2, if you get what I mean, where he's just like a wide midfielder. But it was specifically to guard against this overload thing, so whenever these two players did get involved, Gravenberch would be right there on top of it, and sometimes Salah would track back, but not so much. And this is probably why the tactic ploy was enforced, because we know Salah's not really going to do too much of that. He's got that license to stay high, so if Szoboszlai's up here, Gravenberch helps him out. I suppose we can use the viz to visualise what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, yeah, let's go to Viz 1.
Yeah, so this is an example. This is, I think, 11 and a half minutes in, and you can see Kirkes there, just like, he's actually a little bit withdrawn here, Kirkes. Semenyo's where you'd expect him to be, and Clive drifted over to form 3, and that's attracted the Liverpool 3 in that vicinity. So you've got Gravenberch, you've got Alexander-Arnold, and you've got Kanate shuffling over as well. And if we move on to the next one, again, it's similar. It's Gravenberch taking care of Kirkes. He's managing him. Trent is looking after Semenyo. And the thing is, if you look where McAllister is as well, they're supposed to be in midfield too, but they're obviously very wide there. So ordinarily, McAllister would be a little bit towards... who's that far right there? It's not Gakpo, is it? Sorry, far left. Behind the referee.
I'm not sure, sorry.
I'm not sure who that is, to be honest, but you'd see McAllister maybe drifting over in that direction a little bit, and Gravenberch would shuffle over and there'd be a bit more of a central partnership, but they really did cover over to that side to stop Semenyo and Kirkes. And to be honest, I think it worked, but it also, I think we saw the level of it, because they still created bits down that side. Semenyo hits the bar or the post, I think, at one point early in the game. Kirkes assists 1 or 2 shots. So we did our best to cope with it, but I think they showed us basically why we should have come up with this plan, because they're quite clearly very dangerous.
No, absolutely. Do you know what? When you were talking then, I had a flashback. So I've just been trying to get some dead quick screen grabs up, because you remember the disallowed goal for Bournemouth? Gravenberch is running back and starts pointing at somebody else, and I just decided, just dead quickly, I don't know what it was like a flashback to when I was watching the highlights. So if you can go to my NDI, please, mate. I'm just going to show you this. I say, apologies, there's no arrows or anything like that, right? So you can see Gravenberch in the centre there, can't you? Just by the centre circle. If I then move that on, you can see he's literally pointing to say, someone take this man, because I'm going to go over and help Trent Alexander-Arnold out. And as you see it now, you can see Kirkes running into the picture, and Gravenberch has basically said, go and take Clive off me. And then by the time it gets into it, Gravenberch is with Trent Alexander-Arnold in that right back position. I don't know what it was. I don't know why I didn't think of that before when I was reading the agenda. But that perfectly sort of, for me, illustrates what you're doing. So if I go back to that second picture again, he's literally pointing and he goes, I know I'm with this man now, but someone else going to have to take him, because my job is to be with Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah. Well, there was a few clips that I included on my Substack, distancecover.substack.com.
One.
But we can't use them, which is very annoying because it's, you know, Premier League stuff and that. But there's one in particular where the ball's on the Bournemouth's right hand side, and it's Liverpool are trying to press them and keep them in that, and they escape a little bit. And Gravenberch's first thought is to check his shoulder. You know what I'm talking about? He checks his shoulder to see where Kerkez is immediately. Realises he's a little bit out of spot. Kerkez is on his bike, and Gravenberch gets a real sprint on. You could say anyone would get a sprint on in that situation, but to me it struck me that it was a sprint, as if to say, like, that's my job, and as it stands right this moment, I can't do it, so I need to get back into place, basically. So it definitely, I mean, we're not even guessing here. We know it was a thing, because Slot, there's a quote here that I've got for you that Slot said after the game. So I think he got asked about it, and he said, I think it's clear that they have many good things, and their left back is definitely a threat going forward. It's clear that if you leave Trent with Semenyo and Kerkez constantly in a 2-on-1, this is not the best idea I can come up with. So the whole Gravenberch linking up thing, you know, definitely a tactical ploy, and as I said, one that worked, but still we saw the danger of it at the time.
Yeah, and I was talking on the podcast yesterday about this slightly as well. So if we can sort of go back to the board a second, please, show. And you know, obviously it's I'm just going to move it slightly because it's kind of out of the shot. I don't know how that's happened, but one thing that I thought was really interesting is, in recent games we've seen, as you mentioned, Szoboszlai come back and help out at the right wing position. Sam, I understand that. And we know that Kerkez and Semenyo were the two danger men. One of the things I think, by doing that a little bit more, and I think there was probably a piece of string on McAllister and Gravenberch, so if he went that way, he went that way, and sort of the same sort of distance. But also, it really helped Mo Salah, because what you're basically saying is, yeah, get up, but we're leaving two lads up behind you. So it was like twofold, wasn't it? It was one for the defensive side of things, but the other is our goal scorer. Obviously, one's a penalty, and our main threat and our sort of attacking midfielder as well is going to be behind you. So try and get past us all you want, but if you don't make it work, we're gonna be dangerous behind you, exactly within the space they vacated.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, if Bournemouth lose the ball, they're a little bit like Liverpool in the sense that they immediately just pressure, and even if you've got the ball, to be fair, they will pressure, but it's a similar formation and everything. Like, so if you know Van Dijk's got the ball or something, or anyone on the back line or whatever, you know you'll be able to attract them to a certain degree like that, like all six of them, really.
And what does that leave?
Exactly, that leaves that ball over the top. But if Szoboszlai was back here, that ball over the top has to go to someone else. Maybe it could go to Salah, I suppose, but in terms of that, like, between the lines clip over the top that we did see on one occasion, because I think Carragher clipped it for I think Carragher clipped it. I saw it somewhere anyway, but Van Dijk hit it over the top. Szoboszlai's first touch isn't great, but I think the intention in this game was to keep Szoboszlai between the lines to receive those, you know, Bournemouth, go on, come and press us and we'll just dink it over you. Szoboszlai, I think, was the main receiver of them. Didn't really pay too many dividends off the top of my head in terms of the player receiving the ball and actually doing something with it. I think he had a bit of a weird game, to be honest, Szoboszlai, on the ball. But the intention was right, you know, the tactical approach was optimal. And I think we've got one more of this, haven't we, that we should probably use. I think this probably offers an insight into why Slot did it in the first place and why he premeditated it. So that is the pass map for the day for Bournemouth.
From between the posts, Twitter, by the way.
Yeah, we do use them very often, don't we? They are good stuff. But what you can see there is, like, that's a pass map of two teams that are almost split down the middle, like vertically, if you get what I mean, rather than horizontally. So it's like two really wide units, two really wide teams. Do everything you can not to build through the centre and just focus on those combinations out wide to progress the ball. So, you know, you can see Semenyo there, you can see Kerkez, Kluivert, as I said, was drifting over there and stuff. But that's a problem that if you're facing Bournemouth, you have to cope with, because they will try and progress through you using the wide areas, and they'll overlap and they'll overload you. And I think Trent had a bad day anyway, so even if Trent hadn't have got the support that he had from Gravenberch, it could have been even worse, but that's the kind of thing that you can see in the build-up to the game. We know Bournemouth are capable of doing this. They did it exactly how we expected, and we tried to take care of it, and that's kind of what it's all about.
Absolutely, and just one more sort of thing to throw over to then. This time it's an NDI, Joe, if you don't mind, mate. I just wanted to get up Ryan Gravenberch's heat map there, and you can see he's in that sort of right-back position. It's an unusual heat map for Ryan.
Yeah.
I'm going to move that on and just show you his touches as well. Again, more over to that right-hand side than normal. In fact, it's quite empty in the centre where you think the number 6 would play. If I carry that thought on, there's his tackles attempted in the right-back position. There's his clearances, you would say, in more of a right-back position than normal. And for completeness, there's his blocks as well in the right-back position. So just, I think with all of this information that we've got, we can kind of say categorically, this was a different Ryan Gravenberch performance that Slot asked.
Yeah, I mean, all that evidence then was perfect. Literally, that's exactly the job he was doing. And I think that sums up the level of the player, to be fair, because I thought despite having this specific role, I felt he was one of our best on the day. I did LFC TV after and got asked my man of the match, and I said, obviously, Salah or Alisson. But in the back of my head, I was thinking, I think Gravenberch was really good today. You know, he put out a lot of fires for Liverpool. He did a job that was a little bit, I don't want to say alien to him, but you know, for the central midfielders to find himself that wide all the time, I just felt he really helped in that sense and sacrificed himself almost for the team. And he's got that complete skill set to his game where he can just do anything you ask of him almost. I go back to the Man United game at Old Trafford earlier in the season where Slot just deploys him as an 8 because the pitch is massive and Gravenberch's better at getting up and down than McAllister is. He thrived. You know, he was really good. I think he was on top of Casemiro, wasn't he, for like the first or second goal or something. So one of Liverpool's players of the season, without question. And this was a game in which he just showed not only his versatility tactically, but his discipline. I certainly didn't expect him to have the discipline that he's got on the defensive end, but really complete player.
And I don't think Slot did either. I don't know whether you've watched I've mentioned this a couple of times over the last couple of days with the Gary Lineker interview.
Yeah.
Obviously great interview, really well worth it. Also nice to see the Arne Slot a fan of paddle as well.
Yeah.
Maybe one day.
Singles court, by the way.
I know, it's good, wasn't it? Maybe one day we'll get a game against
I didn't know
them.
they existed.
No, nor did I until that. But one of the things that was really interesting was actually Lineker asking Slot about like the level and what surprised you of the players and stuff. And he's like, look, Virgil was better than I thought he was, but Virgil's level's like up here and Salah's level's up here. And when he spoke about Ryan Gravenberch, he was like, he was probably the biggest surprise because he thought he was here, but he's actually up here.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe he was talking like improvement more than what he was expecting. But I think that's been showcased. I mean, long gone are the days at the beginning of the season where we were questioning, would you have to play him, could you afford to play him against Manchester City and Real Madrid? Well, he did that in a week, no problem whatsoever. There isn't a game now that I don't think any Liverpool fan would not want Gravenberch in, and that's a testament to his performances this season, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he's brilliant. I think if Liverpool go on to win the league, he genuinely has a shout for Player of the Year, because this was the one spot that we were saying in the summer Liverpool don't have. Liverpool trying to fill it. Usually when that happens and someone fills it and the team goes on to win the league, that player gets the plaudits and is involved in Player of the Year talk. But the season Salah's having a joke, and Van Dijk's obviously a key pillar for Liverpool, so he'll do well to get it, Gravenberch. But I think if he got it, I genuinely don't think many people would have much of an argument about it. Like he's just been outstanding since the very start. My initial read on his profile, I thought he was like expressive. I thought he was the kind of player who thrives when he's in the flow, so he's getting lots of touches of the ball, he just does things on autopilot, connects with people, dribbles. So I think for those reasons, I expected him to play closer to the final third, but then I've never felt he's the type to score or create assists, and in my opinion, if you're playing anywhere near the final third, you need that. So I was always a bit like, he's kind of exclusively a middle third player. Like, I'm not sure what else there is there.
I was the same as you, mate. I thought he would take McAllister's spot, to be honest with you, because I felt he was a really good link player, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, you think about that sort of half turn that he's got when he's receiving the ball and someone who can drive forwards. And I think about 17, 18, Oxlade-Chamberlain, when I talk about that. You know, someone who can get, by giving him the ball 15, 20 yards up the pitch by them running. Maybe a 10, drive and run, etc., etc. That's where I thought sort of saw Gravenberch maybe occasionally getting into the box. Like, I don't see him doing what Dom does in terms of getting on the end of crosses and stuff like that, although he's tall enough to. But I am really surprised by Gravenberch this season, and I think everybody is. Asim from Born and Red, thank you very much, mate, for the super chat. Says, great show, guys. Appreciate you. Go and check out Born and Red, of course, on their YouTube channel. Very good show there from Asim and the guys. So thank you for the super chat as well. Yeah, so it's just fascinating, really, isn't it? Watching a player who is young, who has clearly had loads and loads of talent, but never really made it in, at Bayern Munich and stuff. And I think the other thing with that is, because he didn't really break into Klopp's Liverpool side, I think for me anyway, I was a bit like, well, what is he? How good is he? Etc. etc. To see him go from basically no minutes in the last 2 seasons to an ever-present and one of, if not the most important player in your side, is remarkable. And they should absolutely bring back that under-11s most improved player award that every footy team in Liverpool has.
Yeah.
Just for Ryan Gravenberch, because he ain't going to win Player of the Year.
Yeah, I know. I think that read, by the way, on like, exclusively in the middle third thing, I think the reason I didn't really expect him to be a 6 or a player who stays behind the ball all the time or whatever, is because of the defensive side. I never thought was there. He always looked to me like someone who maybe, I don't want to say wanted to be carried or anything like that, like not quite a passenger, but someone who was a bit like just a player for the ball, a player who you want on the ball. And I think the thing I've been surprised by most is his willingness to put a foot in and his reading of the game as well. Like, I've just got up now, just interceptions, right, for the entire Premier League season, all players. And Gravenberch's third for all players for interceptions. He's top for midfielders. Every player around him's a defender. Anthony Robinson's top. Wan-Bissaka, Maxence Lacroix, Bednarek, Van Dijk. Moises Caicedo's the closest, but Moises Caicedo is 7 interceptions behind Gravenberch. I just didn't think he had that nous of if we lose the ball here, where am I? Where are we? Type thing. Like that clip I was telling you about before, where the ball escapes and he immediately looks and checks his shoulder to see where. I just didn't think he had that way of thinking to his game. Mm-hmm. So that's what I've been most surprised by. But he's coupled that with he's really athletic. He's really and stuff like that. His acceleration's very good. His first touch is brilliant. He can dribble. He's quite sensible as well on the ball. He's not as expressive as I thought. He's quite he plays it safe for the most part and just keeps it ticking over and that. So such a player. Honestly, he is a brilliant player. And I can just see the teams that those players, Robinson and Wan-Bissaka and everything, play for. You've got Fulham, West Ham, Crystal Palace and Southampton. Teams that aren't known for dominating the football, like Liverpool dominate the football as well, by the way. So actually, when you think of Southampton and Palace and West Ham, they're not sides that are winning 60% of the possession battle every week, so the opportunities for interceptions are much higher for someone in those teams, I would suggest, than maybe Ryan Gravenberch at Liverpool, who is probably playing for the second, if not third, most possessive football side in the league. Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at Caicedo now. Caicedo's actually played more minutes than him, which I'm surprised by, because Gravenberch has played all the time, but Caicedo's played just a little bit more. And he was painted as the ultimate 6 at the time. Liverpool bid over 100 million for him. And the lad that we've installed in there, and he's kind of getting to grips with the role still, is playing less minutes and intercepting the ball more. Well, according to interceptions, he's reading plays arguably better than Caicedo was at the moment. So, top player, and I think he's one of the main reasons why we were able to keep a clean sheet against this Bournemouth super team.
Absolutely, and well done to Arne Slot for identifying and enacting the plan as well. We're over to Redmen Plus next. We've got a really interesting show for you, actually. So come and join us over there, or you can join us on YouTube at the Redmen Plus video membership tier. I need to change the name of that, it's just such a mouthful. But the best way to support us is redmenplus.com. You get all the podcasts, all the videos, all the back catalogue and everything there. So yeah, it's much better value for money. This is going to be a really interesting one for you, because we're going to analyse the fixtures of Liverpool versus Arsenal. We're going to look at the relative home and away points per game made by the opposition as well. We're going to analyse it in depth and detail, and I'm going to give you what the stats are saying Liverpool's point total will finish on, and Arsenal's. So come and join us on redmenplus.com. See you soon. Ciao.